The brothers Grimm collected lots of fairy tales. Some of them are still well known today, especially thanks to Walt Disney. We had Cinderella or The Golden Goose, lots of them, and they usually end with the phrase, "and they lived happily ever after." But there are some other stories collected by Grimm that have a different type of ending. And perhaps we could hear one of them this morning and learn a lesson about Pentecost, the feast that we're celebrating today. The story begins, once upon a time, there was a mouse, a bird, and a sausage. They lived together in a comfortable cottage by the edge of the woods. Each one contributed to the efficient running of the household. Every day, the bird flew into the woods, gathered wood, and flew back home for the fire to light for the preparation of the meal. The mouse would light the fire and set the table. And the sausage would prepare the vegetables or the soup and then jump into it to flavor it. Everything was going well until another bird said to the bird, "You know, you're being taken advantage of. You've got the hardest job. You have to fly into the forest and you're there for many hours and you fly back. The mouse only has to be around, set the table, and towards the end, light the fire. And look at that sausage. You know, all he does is jump into the soup. You ought to get them to change jobs." So the bird thought that was a good idea. So the next day, the sausage went out to the woods to try to collect the wood. But he never came back. The bird went to look for him to discover that a dog had eaten the sausage. The mouse tried to duplicate what the sausage used to do, jumped into the hot water, and his skin came off and he died. The bird got so excited that it flapped its wings all around the fire and was caught on fire and jumped into a well to put the fire out and couldn't get out. You can see why Disney didn't pick this one. But the moral of the story is that each person has to discover their gift, their talent, and that gift or talent is meant to be used for the common good. And when we speak about it in the church, this birthday of the church, we're saying that all of us, in one way or another, have different gifts. We may not be a sausage, we might not be a bird, we might not be a mouse, but if we understand what we are, then we could use it to continue this community of faith that we call church. And that's what Paul was talking about in the second reading. Apparently, the people in Corinth were fighting with each other. And one said that my gift is better than yours, or I want your gift, not the one that I have. And Paul says, you have to understand that there are many gifts, just like there are many parts to the body, and yet there's only one body. And that all the gifts are given by the Spirit, Paul would say, in order to build up this community of faith. So the challenge you and I face on the great feast of Pentecost is to be aware of my gift and talent, not to focus on what I don't have, but to focus on what I do have. And not to focus on the other and say, I wish I was like him or her, because that's just frustrating and doesn't build up this community of faith. We may not be a mouse or a sausage or bird, but sometimes we act like them.